Now we will see a next topic, that is schedules. What is the definition of schedule? It is a sequence of instruction which specify in which order sequence will going to be executed. It also can be defined as it is chronological execution sequence of multiple transactions. So schedule will give what is a sequence of transactions or what is the order of transaction. Consider there are two transactions, T1 and T2. So by using the schedule we come to know that which transaction is going to be executed first. So there are two possibilities in this two transaction. First, T1 can be executed first and then T2 will be executed after T1, or T2 will be executed first and then T1 will be executed after T2. So by using the schedule we come to know what is the schedule of transactions or what are the chronological execution sequence of multiple transactions. So there are two type of schedule. First one is serial schedule and second one is non-serial schedule. This non-serial schedule, it also called as a parallel schedule or a concurrent schedule. So there are two types of schedule, serial schedule and non-serial schedule. A non-serial schedule is also called as a parallel schedule or a concurrent schedule. So what is a serial schedule? Serial schedule means transaction execute serially. That means after completion of first transaction, second transaction start its execution. That means first my transaction and then your transactions. If there are three transactions, T1, T2 and T3, that means in schedule T1 will going to be executed first up to here. At end of the T1 execution of T1, then T2 start its execution here, end of the T2, and then T3 started execution. So end of T3 and start of T3. So that means in between T1 no transaction will allow to execute it operation. In between T2 no transaction is allowed to execute the operation. So in this scenario T1 will be first executed, then T2 will be after this, and then T3 will be executed after. This is the schedule or this is the order of schedule. T1 will first executed, after finishing of T1 T2 will get executed, and after T2 T3 will start its execution. So what is the advantage of serial schedule? If transaction in the serial schedule, there will be no any interleaving in the serial schedule. So what is the advantage of serial schedule? Database always remains in consistent state because there is no any interleaving between the T1, T2 and T3. There will be no disturbance while T1 is performing, while T2 is performing and T3 is performing. So that's why database always in consistent state. So what is the disadvantage? So because of serializability, the waiting time between the two transactions get increase. That means if waiting time will increase, if waiting time increases, this is a disadvantage. And because of waiting time is increases, throughput will decrease. And what is the throughput? Throughput means number of transaction executed per unit of time. It is called as a throughput. So because of waiting time, in given span of time the number of transactions are very less. Because of serializability, third disadvantage is that we cannot utilize the resources very efficiently. That means resource utilization will decrease. These are some advantage and disadvantage of serial schedule. So now what is a serial schedule? That we will understand by using some example. Consider example. We have a T1 and T2. Consider T1 read are of A and A has a value of 10. Then it updated value by A is equal to A plus 10. Now perform write of A. Now its value will be 20. After completion of T1, T2 will start. Consider it will read B. Then it will perform B is equal to B plus 5. Consider B has a value of 5. So and then write B. So its value will be 10. So that means first operation T is performed here and executed is completed here, and now after this T2 will start from here. So it is the serial schedule. After completion of T1, T2 will get started execution. So second is non-serial or parallel or concurrent schedule. So what is the definition? Transaction processing can allow multiple transactions to be executed simultaneously on a database server. That means transaction executed concurrently or in parallel. That means operating system execute one transaction for some time and then context switching to second transaction and so on. This we will understand by one example. So now we will see a same example that we have seen in serial schedule, where A has database value 10. So first T1 read A, then T2 read B, and B has a consider value of 5, and then A will update its value A plus 10. Again B update will value B plus 5 and then write B. After this A will write A. So in this also A has a value of 20 and here B has a value of 10. So in this execution transactions are interleave with each other, and because of interleaving or a parallel transaction, waiting time between two transactions will reduce, and in a very less amount of time there are many number of transactions, or thousands or lakhs of transactions can be done simultaneously, and because of that throughput of system will increase and resource utilization will be a very efficient, or it will be increase. So these all are the advantages of non-serial schedule, parallel schedule or concurrent schedule. So what is the disadvantage of this non-serial schedule? Disadvantage is, and because of this interleaving process, database may be in the inconsistent state. Database may goes into inconsistent state. So nowadays mainly transactions are a non-serial or a parallel or a concurrent. So this is a disadvantage of inconsistency of a non-serial or parallel concurrent schedule can be avoided by using the two method that is called as a conflict and view serializability. So nowadays because of the waiting time is less, throughput is very high, resource utilization is very high, so all the transactions are based on non-serial, parallel or concurrent schedule.